As new administrations, new presidents and prime ministers come into power, there always remains one constant: technocratic elite controlling every square inch of government. Anyone who opposes the oligarchy will die. The agenda of the globalists must continue, and there will be no force which can stop it. You came here for the truth, so let me unveil that for you. Today we will talk about Goldman Sachs. We will talk about some other issues, beginning with this. In Italy, they are having a little bit of a crisis, extending on what's been happening over the years since, let's say, 2011. Nothing has leveled out. It has been getting worse. With campaigning over, media silence was imposed across Italy on Saturday on the eve of a constitutional referendum. We've heard this word before, seen as crucial to the future of Prime Minister Matteo Renzi. In the frantic final round of campaigning, Renzi's domestic rivals vowed to knock down referendum proposals to streamline parliament and to force the center-left leader out of office. So here we have a basic vote taking place, yes or no. And as a result, the man in power says he'll leave if that vote is against him. Whether or not that is going to be actually occurring, we'll see. And essentially, there is a lot going on here. This has all taken place after the election of Donald Trump. Countries around the world and even states like California, for example, have really pushed ahead, pushed forward, saying we want to decide who's in power and how things are run. The people. That's at least the rhetoric that's going on. And what I caution here is what we have seen many times before. And in fact, I highlighted one in the next article. Do you remember this? It was a few years ago where we had seen this taking place. Greece needed bailouts over and over again, constantly needing a bailout. That's just what happens when you get a bailout from the IMF. In most cases, almost all cases, you need to continue to get bailouts. Maybe you can survive a few years, but ultimately need to get another bailout. Greece, the leader at the time, said, look, we have a serious problem. I know you guys want to make the decision. Do we get a bailout? Yes or no? Here he is saying, do you want a bailout? Do you want to go ahead with this IMF bailout? Yes or no? Just let's vote. Let's do a referendum. And he even suggested voting no. Don't give in to the austerity. That's what the public message was. And I believe it was over 60% of people, which I'm sure was actually higher, 60% of people said no. They put no on their vote. They didn't want the austerity. They were tired of it. So they vote no. Results come in. And almost immediately, they went ahead and accepted the bailout. There is no other choice. You don't have a choice against the globalists. They are going to do it anyway. Even the leader said, I voted no and you should vote no too. Then goes ahead and signs all the documents. Everything that needs to be done, does his part to screw everyone over. This is what may very well happen in Italy. This is what could happen in any country around the world, where you hear one thing and they simply just go ahead and do another. Look at Obama. What a traitor. Look at the NDAA. Look at all the laws, all the executive orders, all the memorandums that have been signed, which are against, not against even innocent foreign people, but innocent domestic people. That's a crime. And then we look at this. This is huge. We're talking about the collusion in between Goldman Sachs and government, and there is a long, long list. This happens to be just some information. It's relatively new. And I'm just going to read a couple of them. Consider this very partial list. We're looking at these individuals. One of them you may reference here, Hank Paulson, former U.S. Treasury secretaries. Okay, high-level positions here. Mark Carney, looking at the governor of the Bank of England. Mario Draghi, the ECB president. Turnbull, Prime Minister of Australia, President of the New York Fed, looking at the former Italian Prime Minister, former White House Chief of Staff, former President of the World Bank. Okay, the top positions in the world, essentially, have worked at Goldman Sachs. And that's the way this works. Why? Because they rule the world. And I'm just forward ahead a second to Alessio Rastani. You may have remembered him a few years ago. He was on BBC and says that he prays for a crash. He prays for a recession because he's going to profit off of it. And also said that, look, governments don't rule the world. Goldman Sachs rules the world. And he said in a later interview that he thought that was common knowledge, that everyone simply knew that and everyone sort of overreacted. I don't think they realized he was about to say that, but I'm sure it was on live TV, so it was a little too late. But it is the fact that Goldman Sachs and others, not just Goldman Sachs, those in the financial industry and the big agribusinesses and everything else, they do rule the world. And that's very clear. And I mean, you may say that these individuals have nothing to do with government anymore when they're in Goldman Sachs. If they go from one to the other, they go back and forth. It's a revolving door. Now we look at this next part here as we look at the Stephen Mnuchin, a former partner at the investment bank, to be Treasury Secretary. So again, following into the new presidency, Goldman Sachs is there yet again. And it's something that we need to understand, that we can't rely on anybody, any person, any government to take care of us and our families. We need to be able to fend for ourselves. That's my message. That's all. Do whatever you want, think whatever you want, but just prepare for yourself and your family. It's very important. I just wanted to throw this last one in here. It's very interesting. This individual has these postcards here. The Unholy Land, nativity scenes in war-torn Syria as Christmas cards are given a thought-provoking twist. And you'll see Mary and Joseph here in war-torn Syria. There's Jesus, baby Jesus down below. You'll see. I thought it was interesting. Just it's a little play on what has happened here, and I thought it would just be interesting to show you that. So check that link out here. I'll have to edit the title now that I look at it. Generally, what I'll do, and I'll just forward ahead to the next one here. What I do is I put, if I see a word like war, YouTube doesn't like that. So I've been able to actually not have any of my videos, now I'm jinxing myself, not have any of my videos get their monetization wiped off if I just play with these a little bit. So what I do is if it has the word war in it, if it has the word ISIS, this and that, I just put a space in between that word. And YouTube hasn't been able to pick it up. I'm sure they know it's there, but they haven't disqualified me in any way since I've done that. So if you see that in the hyperlinks and the links that I send you at the bottom in the description of all my videos, just look for the spaces. Delete the spaces and copy that into your browser and it'll work. So that's all for this video. If you found it informative, please give me a thumbs up. And last but not least, if you found the video informative, I know you'll find my book, The Money GPS, even more informative. So if you want to get some information about the book, head over to Amazon. They have a look inside feature that will allow you to flip through the pages of the book and see if you like it. Take care.